Good afternoon, everyone. It's a bit of a long story, but I'll keep it short. 5 years ago, I ran into Mr. Keshe. The reason for that was I was asked to do an article on free energy. I said, well, that's quite simple, you know. I can be very honest, because there is no free energy. So this article will be very short, just one line, there is no free energy. And, well, you can imagine I had a bit of a problem writing this article. So I thought, well, perhaps I need to interview someone who is doing this stuff, you know. It's difficult to find some people who are into this business and for free energy, and they want to come forward and to explain what they're actually doing. So I was looking around, trying to get some people in America, but you know, that's a long flight, so no, not America. There must be somewhere here in the Netherlands or wherever, just around, someone who can me explain a bit more about free energy. I couldn't find him. Then at one point I walked into a press room of a show, a bit like this, yeah, and there was a press room and I walked in, and I found a man sitting there and he was explaining something. And the way he was explaining something was a bit weird, because he didn't have press releases, or he didn't have specific, you know, typical business type of stuff around him. No, he was having this cola bottle, and he was carrying around with wires, and he had multimeters, etc. And I didn't know who it was, and I was not invited for that party. So when I got home, I Googled cola bottle, free energy, etc. And the first hit was a certain Mr. Keshe. Well, I didn't know who it was, but I got in contact with him, and we met up in Antwerp, and that was, I think, 5 years ago now. Over the years, we had different conversations about what he was working on. I can be honest, I don't understand at all what is this going about. And if someone here in the room is capable of what is going on, you know, you've got my vote. But no, it's difficult to understand what exactly is going on. But the results were, you know, strange and intriguing. You know, he showed a couple of things which I said, okay, what is this? We cannot explain this by the typical natures of electricity or energy or whatever. So we kept our conversation going, and at some point we said, okay, well, demonstrate us now something which, you know, which we understand. So have something moving, or give some light to some electronics or whatever. And I remember we were with a small group in our laboratory for Elector, which is, by the way, a magazine on electronics. To be honest, I don't think a lot of people here in this room ever been reading the magazine. Can I just ask, how many people have been reading Elector magazine? Whoa, not too bad, not too bad. But we invited Mr. Keshe over in our lab and said, okay, show us what you have. And he showed us a couple of things and said, okay, well, that's interesting. And we actually could not explain what we were seeing. In the preparation of this event, Electro Live, I thought, well, perhaps this might be an opportunity to ask Mr. Keshe and to ask him to take the stage and to simply show and demonstrate what he's been working on over the years. And so that is basically it. You know, it's a platform, the floor is free to have a look at something which perhaps you've never seen before, or to hear things which you've never seen before. And that is, you know, that is an adventure, because then you start thinking different. So you probably all know him, but I'd still like to introduce Mr. Keshe to the stage and ask him to do his presentation. Give him a hand.
Can you hear me? Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much for coming. As Mr. Hattinga said, the conversation is always about energy. To us, in Keshe Foundation, we don't look at energy the way you do. In a way, you look for a free energy, you look for a generator, you look for a lamp or a battery. We look at the energy as a spectrum of energy. How your body works uses this energy, how energy is generated in the universe, and how we can use part of it, which we don't know, or the other people think they don't know, and we call it a free energy because it's literally like a magic box. The thing is, everything is there. It's just how you take it out of your pocket, which changes the scenery. And what it means is that there's a lot of talk about free energy. The ones who manage to break through, and they call it a free energy, they are the ones who manage to go to a slightly higher dimension of the magnetic field and they slow it down enough that it becomes feasible and tangible to us. That we call it electricity. In the universe, energy is everywhere. It's not just a matter of point of a body. It's not a matter of point of in a planet or in a generator. So Keshe Foundation is mainly based on the space technology. We are not here to compete with power producing companies. We are not here to compete with the pharmaceuticals. But I brought the knowledge from the space technology. It's taken me over some 40 years of research into medical application. We saw strange things. We took it back into space and motion. We've developed it to a very high standard at the moment. And this is the simplicity of it. At the moment, present technology looks at the energy production in a very materialistic way. You have to burn to create energy. It's exactly how we do in our body. We burn, we try to dissolve the matter. So what we do at the present time, we use any of the fuels, gas, nuclear, whatever, just to create a steam, to create energy as a steam, to run a turbine, to literally run a rotary magnet at the end, what we call a rotor. Somebody is sitting here laughing at me. These are the free energy guys. They know what we're talking about. So, in reality, this is what the structure is at the moment. All that burning, all that pollution is to run a turbine, to run a rotor. But I just showed you in a very simple way how any entity like Earth has a dynamic magnetic field. We call it the atmosphere, our atmosphere. So as we have understood the concept of the energy or concept of rotating magnetic field, dynamic magnetic field, I don't need any of those. I can create the same structure as Earth using a plasma, putting it inside a magnetic coil, and what do you get? A generator. But even this generator, can you go to the next one, please? Even the next one, this is what it is. This is the magnetic field of the Earth. If you go to the next picture, I think it carries the communication. We put the Earth inside the coil. That's all it is. We understood the structure of why things are dynamic, magnetic fields are dynamic, so we change it, so this is what you get. And this is what we call Keshe generator. This is what you are paying 5,000 euro till last night and 20,000 euro from tomorrow. That PDF will go file. We increase our 3 kilowatt to 10 kilowatt to 50,000 euro. You're paying for it because it's simple, but on the other hand, it has to finance the other side of the development and educating and feeding people. So, in fact, don't go anywhere. Stay there, stay there, stay there. We were supposed to show you the generator today, but through unforeseen circumstances by the authorities, a lot of things changed. So we tried to make the best of the worst. But in so many ways, your generator you're paying for is sitting here. No, no pictures, please. So in reality, the coils which you were looking for, what the Earth is sitting within this structure. Your generators can be produced within the next 24 hours. Pardon? Oh, had a quick look. So we are not talking about something which fantasize. These systems have been built and has been tested. It's just a matter of how the governments and authorities are real to face it, to take it to the next step. So what we call a 3 kilowatt generator can be supplied what you paid for within a few days. The governments, the authorities, everything has been set up to do it. but it's what your nations, your governments accept to do it. It only weighs about 7 kilo. And this system can supply you for 30, 40, 50 years. And the only cost of running less than a cent. What would you like? Which plasma do you want me to open? Are there 1 million years left or 1 billion years left? You never understood the concept. There is no free energy. It's where to go to open the plasma. You want a megawatt? You go. There is no fusion, there is no fission. I've heard of people sending me, Mr. So-and-so has sold a 1 megawatt unit. 29th of October. I don't care. I'm not in a power production on the earth level. I'm after power production into space technology. And that's all it is. And that's how I work. In reality, we are self-sufficient, we are financially self-sufficient, we don't need to listen to no government, but we collaborate with every government. In a way, you would have seen a full operation of 3 kilowatt today, but through circumstances which is forced passed by governments, they made sure you don't see it today. I had a knock on the door, I had a helicopter over the house at 10 o'clock yesterday. You know, we reported the helicopter before. Military helicopter, after 5 minutes later, there's a knock on the door with 2 police officers and 2 atomic energy authorities because they want to make sure you don't see. This is the position it is. We asked the authorities, we work with the authorities, we asked the authorities to come and check because we set a new lab up. And they chose their time that they don't see it. We are not fooled. But on the other hand, I have respect for every authority. They have to make sure things are in order. Amongst your audience, there are military, and there are defense, and there are what you call police force people. You do not know. They have to be in these presentations. We ask them to come because our knowledge is their knowledge, and we use it peacefully with them for everything else. So we bring our knowledge in, we share it with you, and we allow everybody to have the same access. We work with authorities, we work with the police force, because we need their protection as much as they need us to do the thing the right way. Because I can abuse my knowledge in a very, very rapid way. But we don't use it, we don't abuse it. Some people left the room. I think you got the message. Next one. In the way it brings us back to the end of our conversational presentation. In understanding the simple structure of the magnetic and gravitational fields has allowed us to develop different things. And as I always say, if you take the steps of knowledge from now on from what we learn, we haven't even stood up to walk yet. And this building has 1,000 steps. It's depending on the next generation and other people who see the wisdom in their own way to take this to the further and next step. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes.
I know some guys on the world that use solid state with magnets, and the right kind of windings, so they can pull electricity out of it. In your systems, is it like that? Do you use magnets, permanent magnets?
No, we don't use permanent. We use permanent magnets to hold the plasma, but we don't use the magnets. We open the plasma. Plasma has a habit of turning back itself and controlling itself. So in so many ways, if you read my second book, it's called The Structure of Light, it shows that matter, to become matter, needs to become spherical, to turn itself. But when the matter wants to go from one position to another, to be spherical and go forward, it loses a lot of its fields to this environment. So what it does, it narrows itself. It becomes what we call light. That's why in the structure of the book, the structure of light, I call light is a plasma. It's not an energy. So you can turn the plasma and use it. I don't use magnets for pulling things out. Thank you very much. Yes? Far back. Yes, yes, you stand up.
If I open a plasma here and I open a plasma there, then it's the same kind of plasma.
Not really. Even though they're about the same, It's like saying all the solar systems are the same. Different plasmas, even though they are protein, or proton I should say, yeah, are different field strength in them. They're not all the same.
So they won't attract each other?
If you create the right condition, some of the fields they will do attract, and they make a new entity. That's what we call our fusion, plasma fusion.
But if the cars have the same structure, they will go to each other?
No, but because the magnetic field and gravitation is within the reactor itself, within the car. Doesn't go outside it. Yeah? Yes?
Doesn't mean that there is life everywhere in the universe?
Of course it is. That's what I said. It's not exclusively. As long as you can have a very simple process, as long as you can have plasma, and then becomes an atom, and then when you can get the molecules, and you can have 4 combinations of molecules together, that they can create a field balance, or gravitational magnetic field balance, that gives the intelligence. So intelligence is not exclusive of man, and life is not exclusive of the Earth. It's just that we thought Earth was the center of the universe. Now we've got to realize there are other brothers who live along somewhere else. It's just how to communicate with them. Yes?
The electricity of your home is not very healthy to people, to mankind. How is it after you have installed the Keshe generator?
This is still the same. In these fields, it has to go somewhere. This is still flow of electrons. It's still the same. It doesn't change. All it is, the generator can be, in the initial stages of the pattern, when we have it, that you bury these reactors in a concrete block. But now, since we put the pattern in, we've gone further step forward in our understanding. Because we use a plasma, you don't need to bury it. You can literally sit on as a chair in the house. Nobody knows. Yes?
If I may ask, what's your biggest problem in revealing the ways of how the technique goes?
I don't have a problem. I have patterns, if you understand it.
Wait a minute, because we also work in a community of people who like to develop free energy in the way you would want to call it. And as soon as we discover anything, we directly put it on the internet so everybody can rebuild it. And so we share the knowledge. And what I would like to know from you, what's the principal way in which it's constructed, what the technique is. So if you have it patented, so there's no worry for you to...
I don't have a worry. I don't have a worry. The thing is, we put patents out, we put books out, we have put a lot of publication out. The biggest worry at the moment is sits in the outside world, not with us. How they can control financial interest. And I've written my books and papers. If you read my books, understand the way I've written and not the way you've been taught and you want to think, you can make one of these reactors and go to moon tomorrow morning. It's well hidden. It's a Coca-Cola recipe, we call it. But you have to understand what is in the recipe. And it's on the internet. You just go now. We actually put 2 patents. There are other patents which are sitting in the European patent that cannot be published because of their sensitivity. Yes? There's a gentleman here with a question. Yes?
Just one question for you.
Yeah.
This might be a bit personal, so if you do not want to answer,
Yeah,
feel
no
free.
problem.
Do you personally feel like you are changing the world?
Not really. I'm a scientist. You take what you like. It's too big for a man to say, I changed the world. I set a pattern in my own technology. Who follows it is the same.
Would you be offended if we said you changed the world?
No, there's a difference changing the world. It's our world and there's a bigger world than us. Individuality doesn't exist. It's the collective. It's the same. If you notice in the first 2 rows of front, there are people who've been working a lot with Keshe Foundation. I would like to thank them. We wouldn't have been here without them. Every one of them in different way has participated in development. Yeah? So it's not individual. Individually it doesn't exist. Yes? Question? Any other question? Yes?
Do you use a special frequency in the course?
Frequency doesn't exist for us. I don't look at the frequency. Frequency becomes when it becomes matter. Above matter level, there is no frequency. It's a continuous motion. And I work in that level. Frequency comes when you have different strength of barriers. So you need to go through it. It's a very fine definition if you understand it. Yes?
Can the reactor be abused when I buy one?
We made sure it will not be done. It's well protected. I respect authorities and national governments. Doesn't matter it is. My system cannot become an abuse tool for you to harm your neighbors or your nation.
No, I mean, when I buy a system like that, maybe somebody steals it from me, and then what can happen with it?
Nothing. You have a GPS on your system, and a guy very recently tried to steal a unit from us. We just switched up. Says, the system doesn't work. He said, bring it back. We want to have a look why it doesn't work. And he was very stupid. He brought it back. He says, this is it. It doesn't work. I said, it's good because you tried to do a stupid thing with it, so we know it's switched off. We are very simple, but we are highly in control of our technology. Believe you me, I'm more in control than anybody thinks. Yes, please.
To what extent is this technology depending on rare earth metals? Or
Nothing. No, it only I'm a nuclear physicist. I specialize in plasma. I only work plasma. You never notice something here. You've been sitting here watching me walking. My best friend in energy and food production is this lot here. This is made by my wife. She crushed them by one bite. This is the caps of Coca-Cola bottle. CH. It's the simplest form I can get to the proton, to the plasma. Rare materials are people who don't understand. You don't need to go up to break it down. CH, carbon material, you separate the carbon. In a very simple way, it becomes what is in these things and the coatings, yeah, with the diamond structure. You take the hydrogen. It's very easy to strip the plasma of the electron from proton, and that's all I need. Heavy rare materials are a habit of man. Next question, yeah. The lady behind you, just 1 second, please. Yeah, come on, stand up. Yeah. Or is it gentlemen? Sorry about that. I'm getting old. Yeah.
On your site, I saw the spacecraft.
Yes.
Has it been built and has it?
Yes, it's been built, it's been tested. I have come to an agreement with Mr. Hettinger that we don't want to speak about it, but yes, it has been tested. And we've lost a few, put it that way. Because we didn't understand how to control the gravity and the magnetic field. If you find a piece of metal in your yard, belongs to Keshe Foundation, bring it back. Yes, it's very easy if you understand. Solar system is another plasma, and it has its own magnetic gravitational field. If you create magnetic gravitational field of the next solar system, you just get attracted to it.
So did you then have contact with other light?
I will not answer that because I kept on asking. I'm not a, what do you call it, alien, but I tell you they exist. I explain the reality in physics. One more question, yes?
Is it easy to detect like another magnetic
Field? Yes.
Because you say when, for instance, you want to go to the moon,
You create the matching field. It needs a lot of experience. It needs a lot. We learn every day. Believe you me, I've lost so many pieces. And the thing is, a lot of people look at our technology. This is how advanced we are. Governments don't understand how advanced we are. We create gravitational magnetic fields with a system which are made of plastic. There is no heat. There is no heat. Yes?
What happens when you arrive on the moon?
Nothing. You create you extend your shield. Now I'm going to answer you something, and then it belongs to the government who's testing it will confirm to you. Landing on the moon or Mars is as easy as landing your car. You extend your barrier because you have control over the magnetic gravitational field. You don't need to live in a cube, as the Americans are going to do. When you finish, it's like camping. You shrink it to the size you want to go to the next destination. We tested this, and it works. Any more? Yes?
If an atom should decay into two pieces, a proton and an electron.
Not an atom, a neutron.
Okay. Into two pieces, does it need less energy than the neutron?
No, it releases some of it, but what is held together is not the same as before. It's a less of magnetic field. because some of it, when they split, is released to the environment, the surrounding. So if you read my last book, The Creation of Universe, we explain that we have a mother universe, the same as the neutron decays to electron and the proton. Our universe, which we talk this rubbish Big Bang theory about, is through the same process. Sometime in the past, we had a mother, universe, which has a split like exactly what a neutron does. We can't be any different. Even we would like to think it's different, but the reality is a bigger universe has divided into our universe and the next universe, what we call a sister universe. And we know that the sister universe exists because NASA has released data which confirms the position of the next universe through a great magnetic field, yes.
What's the intelligence behind creation? Like if matter and plasma and gravity and this is all the soup becoming whatever, I mean that's the problem in quantum physics. In quantum physics now we know what the smallest matter is. The problem is they don't know how that becomes whatever, chair, table.
Yeah, it's just how much more you can attract to become the more of the bigger. That's why in one of my talks recently I explained this is one of the problems we have in the control system of the space reactors, is that because now we work above the speed of light, some of the plasma converts into matter and what we call a loading at the moment. So we start with a 5 kilo reactor, it goes to 7 kilo reactor without having control because the material residual reduces enough to become matter at the boundary of the reactor. And that's how we produced plasma of, proton or fat, as you call it, and diamonds. Because then you can control what you want to become, what we call loaded matter. Yes?
Two more questions.
Two more questions, yeah. He decides, I'm just here.
But there is a fundamental problem in your theory, because if you say you can make an infinite amount of gold, then there is a very big problem because our paper money has an amount.
That is a financial. We took our diamonds to the diamond bourse years ago and they tested it and we agreed we will not touch a diamond market. We are not here to destroy the structure of humanity. There is not a flaw in it. There is a lot of intelligence in it. Keeping peace is more important than somebody having 10 kilo of gold. Yes?
What makes an electron, a proton, and a neutron?
A neutron divides and becomes an electron and a proton.
Yeah, but what is the difference?
It's the amount of it. It's just like exactly that cup. How much of which one? The more you have, you go from electron to become a proton. Then the more you have of it, if you have a loss, it becomes a neutron. The more you have becomes a molecule because they attract inside each other, they stay bigger and bigger.
So why would be an electron negative and a proton positive?
Who says that? That's the old physics. Come to me, I'll teach you the reality. It's not that way.
We have to call this event and this presentation to an end at some point. Many thanks, Mr. Keshe, for your presentation. Many thanks for being here. I think I've seen a lot of presentations, but you are definitely the craziest one I've ever seen. Thanks very much for coming. Thanks very much. I think there's perhaps some more time to discuss with each other, whatever, what you've been hearing, etc. But we have to start moving and closing the event and the day. Also for the rest of the building. So many thanks for coming, and I hope you stay interested in what we're doing. Yep, cheers.